Face the Music, a pre-E.L.O. song-by-song podcast, is sponsored by fine people like James Crow.
This is Face the Music, a pre-E.L.O. song-by-song podcast. Lucky Man, the Idol Race.
I'm very lucky, I think you'll agree. I've lost the key to my front door, I can't get in there anymore, oh my. I've lost the key to my love start, it's down the drain and in the dark, oh my. I'm very lucky, I think you'll agree.
What's that song all about?
Lucky Man is the 9th track, second song on side 2 on the first Idol Race album, The Birthday Party. In the number 6 1989 issue of the Face the Music fanzine, Gil wrote,
A real oompa tune, complete with a very nasally voice telling a sardonic story of bad luck, into which a flat little echo interjects ever so often. Just to add to the irony, the song collapses with speeding up of tapes and jumbled voices, and just sort of runs out to make way for the ominous anti-military song, Don't Put Your Boys in the Army, Mrs. Ward.
In August 2015, John Vanderkeest wrote in Jeff Lynne, Electric Light Orchestra Before and After,
The deceptively jolly Lucky Man, which belied its title as a tale of bad luck.
Lucky dog, I'm a lucky dog.
I'm Eric Paul Johnson,
And I'm Eric Winsenson.
and what a lucky man he was. Until he found those bombs and turned them over to the Coast Guard.
I actually have a story to go with that, but let's hear you,
Okay.
let's go about the song first.
Okay.
So,
Well, there's a teaser for everybody. We have been saying nothing but nice things, wonderful things, about the songs on this album, and is it ever going to get bad? It does. Here's your derpy derp derp filler song. It's a derpy derp song about a happy man who feels so lucky, even though things don't seem to go so lucky, but still, he whistles and skips along like, oh, what a wonderful thing, how lucky I am. It's filled with a derpy derpy doing doing that goes all through with it. Let's get some derpy drop sound effects that were derpy in that screw pot I Like My Toy song. It's an insipid nursery rhyme that literally ends with babble, babble, babble.
so you gave it 5 out of 5?
I do. I actually love the song. It's just, I thought things are getting predictable about how we feel about every song on this album. So I like, just mix it up and just make up a bunch of bull crap about how much I hate this song. Because I love it. It's another wonderful, whimsical, fun little song from the Idol Race. I like the doing-doings that go through it. Never misunderestimate the power of a well-placed doing-doing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my.
The explosion, I think, is well-timed. It's well-used. It's not like on that stupid Stew Pot remake of I Like My Toys, where he puts in a ricocheting bullet to emphasize, hey, he's got a gun.
And the soldier with our gun.
This will all make sense to our Patreons, but people who don't go to Patreon, Stew Pot did a remake of I Like My Toys, and we talked about that, but you can only hear it if you subscribe to the podcast through Patreon. $1, $2, $3 an episode is completely up to you, and you get bonus features like when we talk about cover songs or people remade, and some we like, and some we really tear into.
Choke up that cash.
Yeah. I like the drum work. It doesn't have your standard issue drum fills. It has a fairly simple beat to it, but I think the drum extras, especially in that what sounds like a French horn, but Mike Hudson says is an electric guitar. I like when the drums go off in that. I like the whole thing. I even like the babble babble riff at the end. There's no bad songs on this album, so far.
Now, question, that distorted part that sounds like a piano set through a ring modulator, is that the electric guitar? Or is that actually some piano chords set through a ring modulator? I was looking at the song facts to see if it said how they made that noise.
Yeah, I don't No, I'm thinking it's some sort of electronic keyboard, maybe. I don't know. I mean, if I was making this at home to make that noise, I would keep tapping my finger on the reel as the tape is moving to make... It would have to be a tape of just that piano keyboard to make it make that wobble sound. That's how I would do it. I would think they ran it through some sort of electronical Felger carb to give it that warble.
Okay. So, I'm probably not too far off in how they did it then.
Well, here's the thing. Dave Pritchard's wife listens to the podcast. So if she could play...
we love him, and we think he's great, and no need to sick any lawyers on us.
Yes. Although we qualify under fair use. And also, we haven't really said anything bad about Dave Pritchard. We even liked his songs in the Idol race.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. So maybe she could play it for Dave, and Dave can call us.
623-850-3375.
Or send us an email, voice memo on your phone, and send it to that, and straighten us out. How was the doing, 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 doing sound made? Guitar? Keyboard? Somebody just keep tapping their finger on the reel as it was playing into the final mix? Tell us.
Yeah, that would be interesting to know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to say that I like the song.
Mm-hmm.
It is silly.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes I'm on the border when it comes to silly.
Yeah.
One thing you did say when you were giving your fake review, though, is true.
Mm.
If there is a filler song on this album so far, it's this one. That doesn't mean it's a bad song. It just means that it isn't up to the level of The Birthday or Follow Me Follow or I Like My Toys or any of those.
Mm-hmm.
It just means that it seems like it's placed in a certain spot on the album to bridge between two songs. And for that, I still kind of enjoy. I love the noise more than I like anything else going on there, because the babble, 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 I think at that point he's getting a little bit too silly.
Look, I gotta finish this song. I got no words. Babble, babble, babble.
Yeah, but it's still fun. It's not something I would throw on the playlist to listen to again and again and again like Cats, but I don't think it ruins the album.
No.
It's not one of those where it's boring, forgettable, or just plain awful, like Screaming Mother for about 3 or 4 minutes in the middle of your record. Yeah, it's filler, but it's still memorable. That's the thing. And the lyrics are clever.
Yes, they are.
I do like the lyrics on it. So it's what it is, and yeah, so far you're right. I don't hate anything on this album. Thinking about Babble, 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 now I'm thinking about a Sparks song called I Predict, where it's a guy doing a bunch of those predictions that you would see in the National Enquirer, and at the end, the song will fade out. I predict the song will fade out.
I predict and the song will fade out. Yes, the song will fade out and the song will fade out.
And of course, it doesn't fade out.
Right, the song they co-wrote with Criswell.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see this as filler, but it is enjoyable filler. It's an enjoyable snack cake or candy bar that it's not good for you, but you really enjoy it. And the lyrics are great. It's so easy to turn such a tired old idea, like, oh, I'm very lucky and bad things happen to me, but I'm still very lucky, into just, So we're going to do this idea again. But Jeff takes some things and makes it very funny. And I believe there's somebody else in the band. Who knows? It could be Dave Pritchard yelling and in the background.
Oh, yeah, I like that part. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say. We're almost into Bonzo Dog territory here.
Yes.
That's probably why, even though it's a filler song, I still like it. Mm-hmm. Is because we're getting into Bonzo Dog territory. That's entertaining to me. Even though some of their songs are silly, it's entertaining silly because it's still creative musically.
Yeah. I can see this as having some Bonzo Dog influence on the band. And yeah, he finds a bomb, and what happens? He turns it in and it blows up on him.
I came across a bomb or three, oh my. I took them to the Coast Guard man. He said, hurry up and get that.
But apparently he still goes on to at least get in a couple more choruses and repeat the first verse. So, and babble, babble, babble at the end.
Yeah.
Got something to say about Lucky Man? Then call the telephone line voicemail.
623-850-3375. Call now. You got lucky, babe. Great moments in Electric Light Orchestra history.
Like a lot of musicians in the 60s, Jeff Lynne was heavily influenced by the Beatles. In his case, by their lavish production and use of strings and special effects on the Sgt. Pepper album and songs like Strawberry Fields and I Am the Walrus. So it was particularly thrilling for Jeff to actually get to watch the Beatles in the studio one day. The year was 1968, when Jeff was still in E.L.O.'s predecessor, Idle Race.
Well, it was when we were making that first album, and we thought like, oh great, this is good. And anyway, the engineer gets a phone call when we're in the studio trying to make our little record. We'd sold about 25 copies. But we thought it was really important. And he gets a phone call saying it's his friend who works at Abbey Road, and he said, the Beatles are in, do you want to come down and have a look to him, to this engineer? And he said to us, he said to me, he said, do you want to go and see the Beatles at Abbey Road? I said, nah, do us a favour. And we were down there in a flash, it was about a couple of miles away. And I just couldn't believe it. And there they all were, they were doing different sessions. Like they were making the White Album. And, it was a total numbing experience. There they were playing on the records that you hear. And there was Paul McCartney sat on the mixer playing this bass. He was playing a Fender jazz bass with the price tag still hanging off it. He probably just got it in and just playing bass on it. And what turned out was one of the peculiar ones was Why Don't We Do It in the Road? But then, down the corridor, we went to see John Lennon and George Harrison doing Glass Onion, and George Martin conducting the strings, and we saw all that as well. Fantastic.
Enjoy the podcast? Then let us know with the universal expression of love, cash. You get swell extras when you subscribe at patreon.com/ELOpod. For $1, $2, or $3 a show, you get expanded episodes that include more conversation, discussion about remakes, full lyrics reading, E.L.O. origin stories, and other goodies you can only hear in the expanded episodes through a Patreon subscription. Help a poor man build a pretty dream, and give us lots of money at patreon.com/ELOpod.
Now, did you want to hear a story?
Oh, that's right. Eric's
that we'll put on our expanded version, most likely.
That's right. If you want to hear Eric's story about the hand grenade and the mortar, the police and the military coming out to his home, you're going to have to pony up $1 or $2 and listen to it over at our Patreon site, which you just heard about.
Face the Music, a pre-ELO song-by-song podcast, is a production of Radio Trolla Entertainment Assorted Deli Meats Amalgamated. You can contact us by voicemail at 623-850-3375 or email us at eloftmpodcast@gmail.com and we'll read and reply to it on the show. Keep up to date by joining our Facebook group and spread the word by sharing the link or giving us a quick rating on iTunes. Subscribe to our YouTube page, the Electric Light Orchestra Podcast channel, to hear other goodies. You can financially support the podcast at patreon.com/ELOpod or PayPal using the podcast's email address, or send a check or money order to P.O. Box 1932, Superior, Arizona 85173. Next week, Mrs. Ward.
Get my recording going. Hold on.
Yeah.
Realistic tape recorder.
Realistic? Wow. I got an Emerson.
And a lake?
No. But I do
And
have a Palmer every morning.
Oh. Speaking of Emerson, Lake, and Palmer, who goes first, by the way?
I do this time.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm Eric Paul Johnson.